Married to the Devil's Son, chapter 28. When I woke up, I decided to take a bath. Lucien was sleeping next to me, looking clean and fresh, and here I was, all dirty. I prepared a bath myself and rubbed the dirt off my skin and hair till I was satisfied. Then I grabbed a towel and wrapped myself in it. Walking out and into the room, grabbed a simple gown and slid into it. Then I dried my hair with a towel. Even though I was all clean, I still felt dirty. My stomach growled. I was hungry since I didn't eat lunch and it was nearly sunset. I wanted to go down and look for something to eat, but looking at my reflection, I couldn't bring myself to walk outside the room. The bruises on my face and arms looked terrible and they still hurt. Thinking back to what happened made me sick. I was nearly raped. I would have been if Lucien hadn't come in the time looking like the devil. I went back to bed and studied Lucien well asleep. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was looking for something. My eyes traveled to his fingers. No sharp nails, just normal short clean nails, and his eyes had been normal too. But I was sure I didn't imagine what I saw. When I remembered something, his lips, I had beaten him this morning well, which reminded me of his wounds that just had disappeared. Was it the same with his lips? I leaned closer and put my finger on his lip and moved it a little so that I could see better. There was nothing on his lip, not a wound, nothing. I gasped, and a gasp escaped my mouth. I guessed I didn't believe he was the devil's son entirely until now. I couldn't and didn't want to believe it. He couldn't be what the rumors said he was. The devil's son with red eyes and long nails. He had burned the men alive and he could heal. What else could he do? He opened his eyes slowly, which made my heart jump. I looked into those eyes that had captivated me so much. I looked at the man I was married to, the man that moved my heart, invaded my thoughts, and made my body tingle with pleasure. He couldn't be the son of the devil. There was nothing evil in his eyes. In fact, they looked troubled. "Is everything all right?" he asked. "Yes." It came out as a whisper. Bringing his hand up, he cut my cheek. "I'm sorry I didn't come earlier," he said, sounding really apologetic. How could this man be the devil's son? "It's all right, I'm fine. I really was because it could have gotten much worse." "Why did you go out?" "You could have asked me to go with you if you wanted to go out." This reminded me that I had been really angry with him for being with that blonde. "Listen, yes? I don't want you to be with someone else. I want you for myself." He looked at me surprised. I was surprised myself. I couldn't believe I told him that, especially now when I knew the rumors about him could be true. But that didn't change my feelings. Lucien was surprised. He already knew she wanted him, but hearing her saying that stirred something inside of him, something wild and wicked. He just hoped he had enough self-restraint not to take her here and now. "Sometimes I feel you want me and sometimes I feel you don't," she said, a sadness in her voice that made his heart ache. Did she know that he had been with someone else, or was she talking about Clara? I feel I'm not enough for you, she continued. She was more than enough for him. She was everything to him. Maybe he should tell her the truth about himself. But what if he pushed her away with the truth, now that she finally opened up to him? He sat up on the bed and straightened himself. Hazel, I, I, what if she thought he was making excuses to not be with her? She looked at him with disappointment. I'm hungry. She cut him off and her stomach growled shortly after that. Maybe it was for the best to not tell her. Not yet, anyway. I'll bring you something to eat. Chapter 29. Ouch! My stomach hurt. This time not because I was hungry, just because I had eaten too much. I felt as if my stomach was going to explode. Lucian was sitting in front of me and seemed to be thinking about something, ignoring him. I stuffed the rest of the food into my mouth. He probably thought I was eating unladylike, but you know what? I didn't care anymore. Since I wasn't enough for him, I planned on getting fat. Maybe then I would be enough. Someone knocked the door. My lord, my lady Princess Clara is here to meet you. A maid called from outside. I panicked. Why was she here? I didn't want her to see me like this. I looked at Lucian, who still had a calm face. Tell her to come in, he said. What? No, wait. I said, standing up, but the door already started to open, so I hurried and hid behind the dressing screen. Lucian gave me a questioning look, but then turned his gaze toward Clara, who had just entered the room. What brings you here? I peeked from behind the dressing screen. I just came to see if you are alright. I heard your father died. The king died? How could I not have known this? I'm fine. How is your arm? He asked. She took a few steps closer to him, blinking with those lashes again. I'm alright. Maybe you should go easy on me next time. Next time? There would be no next time. I'll keep that in mind, he said. My brother is throwing a party tonight. You know how he is. I hope you and your wife can join us. How could she invite him to a party when his father just died? I wondered how Lucian felt at the moment. Sure we will, he said calmly. Sell me a dance then, she smiled. I will. And with that she left. I quickly came out from where I was hiding. Our father died and you didn't tell me? And they are throwing a party when your father just died, and what? You are going to dance with her? You know I can't go there looking like this, I said, pointing at my bruises. I was so angry and I was yelling. You don't have to go if you don't want to, he said with that annoyingly calm voice again. And what? You want to go so that you can dance with her? That's not what I meant, he protested. I don't care what you mean. The fact is that you have many mistresses, that you spend time with other women than me, that you like blondes, not as nearly beautiful as her, and you can get any woman you want, and I don't have anything to say about it. Lucian's eyes widened at my confession. And I was nearly raped because of you, I added, yelling. Lucian clenched his fists. So all this was his fault? He had hurt her feelings and got her nearly raped. She must despise him now. He felt as if his heart was breaking into a million pieces. He stood frozen in the same place, with the back of her hand She wiped her tears away, then she walked to the bathroom and shut the door behind her. I sat in the bathroom crying for a while before I could calm down. Yes, I was nearly raped because of him. Not entirely, but I was saved by him too. I shouldn't have gotten that angry. He had just lost his father. Never push your husband away when he's interested in another woman. That's when you need to keep him the closest. I remembered that what Eva told me. I needed to always look my best and get my husband interested in me if I wanted him for myself. And here I was pushing him away. But I just couldn't help it. I was very emotional at the moment. A lot of unexpected and stressful things had just happened in my life lately, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Wiping my tears, I decided to go back to the room and act maturely. I walked out of the bathroom, but Lucien was already gone. Your Highness, the king wants to meet you. What now? Lucien was not in the mood to meet anyone. His father was dead, his brothers were in war, and his wife was hurt. Could it get any worse? Yes, he knew it would get worse, so he needed to keep his calm. He made his way to the garden where the king wanted to meet him. Rasmus was standing tall and strong with his arms crossed behind his back, his long dirty blonde hair falling smoothly over his shoulders down to his breast. Rasmus reminded him much of himself, the way he walked and stood, except he didn't speak like him. Draco, here you are, he said, a smirk on his face. Lucien didn't smile, he just stood there waiting for Rasmus to get to the point. I heard about your father. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you're not, he said. Should I? Your Majesty. Lucien asked Rasmus as he walked closer to Lucien. He looked him in the eyes. If he was trying to intimidate him, then he failed. What are you planning on doing now? Rasmus asked, ignoring his question. What do you want in return for helping me? Lucien knew that Rasmus was not the type to do things without asking for anything in return. Rasmus sighed, looking away, as if he didn't like what he was going to say. Then he looked back at him and said, I want you to marry my sister. Chapter 30. Excuse me, Lucien said, unsure of what Rasmus meant. Why would a king want his sister to become a second wife when she was a princess? You know that my sister Clara likes you. I would of course like her to get married to someone who isn't already married, but I know she won't accept someone else than you. Did she tell you that? No, but I know my sister, Rasmus said. Lucien sighed. He already had enough problems on his plate, and now he had to deal with yet another problem. I have a meeting to attend. Think about what I said carefully, he said, looking displeased himself before he left Lucien to stand alone there. Your Highness, as your personal advisor, I suggest you take Princess Clara as your second wife, Lincoln said, who had been listening to their conversation. You need a friend at the moment, not another enemy. Besides taking her as your wife will help you even when you become a king. I'm sure Her Highness will understand. Lucien wasn't sure about that. Hazel was already angry with him and he had hurt her enough. He didn't want to anymore. Maybe if he spoke to Clara, he might change her mind. Tonight at the party, he would speak to her. My lady, I have brought the books. Thank you. You may leave. Placing the books on the table, the maid left. Picking one of the books, I started to read, but my thoughts wandered to Lucien. What was he doing now? Was he dancing with Clara at the party? Shutting the book angrily, I put it aside. It wasn't keeping me interested enough to forget about Lucien, Dracula. I thought I had the same name somewhere. Yes, right. The bloodthirsty king had told me the story of Dracula, the man who made a deal with the devil. Grabbing the book, I looked at its front. It was bound in brown or leather and smelled of dust. I slowly opened it. The pages were cracked and barely holding together. As I looked at the page, the first word I read was Draco. Draco. It was that the bloodthirsty king called Lucien. Draco is the Latin word for dragon. Did the king lie to me? Why did he say it meant devil? I continued reading. The dragon is the largest snake of all snakes and is there. A spicy scent filled the room and made me look around. Was Lucien here? Looking around, I found no one. Strange. I tried to go back to reading but felt a presence in the room as if someone was watching me. My heart started to beat faster in fear, while my eyes scanned the room ready to run as soon as I found a threat. Listen, listen, are you there? I called but got no answer. Suddenly, the door opened and I jumped. Lucien entered the room walking unsteadily. His cheeks were flushed and his lips red. He smelled of wine, no spicy scent. Where have you been? I asked, standing up. He ran his fingers through his hair to remove it from his face. Then he looked at me. At the party, dancing with Clara, in case you wanted details. He said, trying to keep his balance. Was he trying to anger me? Strangely, I didn't get angry. Instead, I went to help him. Let me help you, I said. I placed his arm on my shoulder. We have a party tonight. I hope you can attend after you have rested. He then said to me and Lucien, of course, Lucien replied, Astrid, why don't you take them to a nice room? I'm sure they would like to rest. I was so tired. He must have been sad because his father died. I guess he did care after all. Take this off, he said, trying to get out of his robe. The royal robes were heavy and uncomfortable to sleep in. Grabbing the robe, I helped him get out of it. And this too, he said, pointing at his shirt. I could see he was wearing nothing underneath. You're going to be cold, I said. No, it's too hot. Opening the buttons on his shirt, I helped him take it off as well. Now, let me help you. Grabbing my waist, he pulled me down on the bed. Help me with what? I panicked, taking out clothes off. I started simply tugging at my robe. No. I tried to get up, but he pinned me down with his body. I'm sorry, wife, but I won't take no for an answer today. Lucien, you're not in the right state of mind. You will regret this. Now let me go, I urged. I already regret it. I regret everything I keep regretting, he said, and went back to trying to take my robe off, looking both angry and sad. I was confused. Do you regret getting married to me? I asked. How could I worry about this now when he was trying to strip me? He stopped in his tracks and looked at me for a while. Then he leaned closer and I thought he was going to kiss me, but he collapsed on my body. Lucien, Lucien. When I got no answer, I carefully pushed him away. He landed on his back. He had already fallen asleep. I let my eyes sweep over his half-naked body before grabbing the sheets and covering him. I just hoped his answer would be no. Lucien woke up, his head throbbing in pain. So this is how it felt like to have a headache. Then he was glad he never had one before. Sitting up, he removed the sheets and realized he was wearing nothing on his upper body. Wait, how did he even come here? Slowly, pieces of his memory came back. He remembered drinking too much. Hazel trying to push him away, but him telling her he would not take no for an answer. What had he done to her? His heart started to pound in fear and he became afraid to remember the rest. What if he had hurt her? Just what had he done to her? This time he tried to remember, but he couldn't. He didn't know if he could be relieved or more worried. Now Hazel, where was she? He had to find her and make sure she was all right. Making his way to the bathroom, he threw the door open. There she was, bathing in flower-scented water, while some maids rubbed scented oils into her hair and skin. Gasping, they pulled themselves away as he neared her. "Your Highness," they said and bowed. Hazel turned around, her eyes widened as she saw him. "Leave us," he ordered, and the maids hurried away. Hazel pulled her legs to her chest to cover herself as her cheeks flushed red. "Lucien, what are you doing here?" He walked closer as his eyes carefully scanned her body to see if she was hurt. She pulled her legs even closer to her chest and shyly covered her shoulder with her wet hair. "Are you alright?" he asked. "Huh?" She looked confused. "Yeah, if you could only stop staring," she said as she made an attempt to cover herself once again. She didn't look hurt, and listening to her heartbeat, she wasn't scared of him either. He sighed in relief. "Turn around," she said. "I need to get dressed. I have already seen you naked." Her cheeks flushed a bright red. He tried hard not to remember her naked body. He didn't want to wake his demon. "Still," she said stubbornly. Usually he would enjoy teasing her at moments like this, but he decided not to this time. "I'll wait for you outside," he said and left her. At least she wasn't angry with him anymore. Chapter 31. Lucien paced back and forth in the room as he waited for Hazel. He needed to speak to her today. Be honest with her and tell her about the situation with Clara. That would be the right thing to do, he thought. The smell of food interrupted his thoughts. He couldn't remember the last time he enjoyed food or sex. No wonder his demon was hungry to come out. A few maids came in with a breakfast and started serving. Now and then they would look his way and blush. He was used to maids ogling at him, but this time something was off. "Your Highness, the breakfast is ready," a maid informed, looking down as her cheeks turned red. Really? What was wrong with these maids? "Yes, you may leave." They bowed and laughed, giggling. Lucien continued with his pacing, not giving a thought to why they behaved like that until Hazel came into the room. She was wearing a simple light pink gown, and her reddish brown hair was still wet from the bath. Oh wow! He wanted to run his fingers through the hair. He quickly put his hands behind his back to prevent himself from doing anything stupid. Lucian, yes? He shook his head. He was probably staring. Why are you still half naked? She smiled. What? Looking down at his body, he realized he hadn't gotten dressed yet. He now understood why the maids behaved strangely. He had been thinking too much about Hazel, that he had even forgotten about his own clothes. Ah, yes. What was he supposed to say? I was about to get dressed. She just smiled at him. That smile, it has his weakness. He quickly put something on, then went to the breakfast table where Hazel was already sitting. Usually, the husband sits first, then the wife, but he didn't mind Hazel sitting down before him. He never understood those stupid rules anyway. Hazel stood up and poured some tea for him. It will help with your headache, she said. He picked the cup from the sand. He could tell it was ginger tea. He took a sip. He didn't like the taste, but if it really would help with his headache, then he would drink it all. About last night, I hope I didn't do anything to upset you, he said carefully. She took a sip of her tea. Well, you just pushed me down on the bed and tried to take my clothes off, and you told me you danced with Clara. He remembered the part where he was trying to take her clothes off, but not the other one. I'm sorry. Lately, he had been apologizing too much. Actually, twice, but it was a lot for him. I'm sorry too for saying that I almost got trapped because of you. Why? Why did she have to apologize for that? Why was she suddenly nice and not fighting with him anymore? It only made him feel more guilty for what had happened and not what might happen. Hazel, Rasmus wants me to marry his sister. He said it quickly before he could change his mind. Then he looked down, afraid to see Hazel's hurt or disappointed expression. I knew it. I knew the bloodthirsty king would ask for something in return, and that it probably would be something like this. We shouldn't have come here, but where would we go? As soon as we step out of this castle, I knew we wouldn't be safe. I looked at Lucian. He wasn't looking at me for some reason. So, what did you tell him? I asked, trying to keep my calm. I haven't given him an answer yet. Why? He couldn't have said yes. It was a very common and normal thing for men to have many wives, and now, when he was in a difficult situation where his marriage could save his life, I wondered why he hadn't said yes. He looked at me confused. Aren't you angry? He asked. Angry? No, I wasn't angry. I was feeling as if my heart was being squeezed. The thought of sharing Lucian with another woman, with Clara, felt like a knife in the heart, twisting. Really, what was I expecting? I knew I was marrying a prince, and that it is not only common but a must for princes to have many wives. Wives meant allies and more power. No, was all I could think of saying when I actually wanted to say a lot of things. But what could I say? I couldn't tell him not to marry Clara because that would get us both killed. even though that is exactly what I wanted to say. Lucian looked troubled. He didn't even touch his breakfast. I haven't seen him eat once these last few days. How is Oliver? I asked, trying to change the conversation. He finally lifted his head to look at me. It's fine. I should go away. I should go and see him. You don't have to. I will ask Lincoln to send him to you. He said, standing up. I should get dressed and leave. I have things to take care of. But you haven't eaten anything. I'm not hungry, he said and went to the bathroom. As I was left alone, everything started to sink in. Clara, Lucien was going to marry Clara. I was going to share my husband with someone else, and I couldn't do anything about it. I knew this day would come. I just didn't know it would come this soon. I thought I could have Lucien to myself at least a few years. Lucien walked out of the bathroom fully dressed, but his hair still messy. I can brush your hair, I suggested, standing up. He looked at me confused. If you like. He went to the dresser and sat in front of the mirror. Then he watched my every movement in silence. Picking the brush from the dresser, I began to brush his hair. So soft, so smooth, I wanted to make a pillow of it. I think it's enough, he said after a while and stood up. Turning around, he gazed into my eyes before leaning down and giving me a quick kiss. Thank you. He smiled and then left quickly. I just stood there, surprised by the kiss. Why was I behaving like a little girl? It wasn't the first time we kissed, but it still gave me a tingling feeling in my stomach. There was a knock on the door. Come in, I called, and shortly after, Oliver walked in. Oliver, Your Highness, he greeted, looking down. I'm glad you're right, I asked, walking closer, but he quickly dropped to his knees. I'm sorry. I failed to protect you. What are you doing? I said, shocked. Stand up. He slowly lifted his head, looking ashamed. It's not your fault. I was the one who insisted you take me out. I should apologize, I explained. No, don't. He almost yelled. It's my duty to protect you, and I failed. There was no point in arguing with him, I thought. All right, I said, it's your fault, but I forgive you if you help me. He looked up surprised, but then stood up quickly, up to his feet. Anything you need, I will do it for you. First, I want you to be my person. His eyes widened. Him being my person meant that he would submit before Lucien. Your Highness. He looked confused. I'm not telling you to betray His Highness. I'm just saying you should serve me first. Didn't you say you would do anything for me? He seemed to think for a while, but then nodded. How may I help you? He asked. I want you to help me stop His Highness from marrying Clara. Chapter 32. His Highness is going to marry Clara. He asked, surprised. I guess he didn't know about that. Yes, the king wants him to marry his sister in exchange for help. Oh, but how can I help you? He asked. I wasn't sure how either, but I wanted to stop this. Your Highness, I would want to tell you that if you stop this, we could all die. I know, I said quickly. I want to stop this without us dying. That's why I need your help. I hoped he could come up with something. There is only one way to stop this, is to change Clara's mind about the marriage. I knew that was the safest way, but I knew it wouldn't be easy because Clara would do anything to get Lucien. How can we change her mind? That we will have to think about, he said thoughtfully. What about other lives? Is there someone else who can help? His silence, I asked. No, Prince Lucian has a reputation, he said. I knew what he meant. Speaking of reputation, I still had to figure out what Lucian was. He couldn't be the devil's son because, from what I learned, he was little. The devil had no children. On the other hand, when speaking spiritually, if someone put their faith in Satan instead of God, they become the children of the devil. Has His Highness ever gone to church? I asked. He was surprised by the sudden change of subject. I really don't know, he said. Alright, for now, keep an eye on Clara. You might find something that can help us. I will, he said and laughed. After he left, I went to the mirror. The bruises of my face were still visible, which meant I still couldn't leave the room. Sighing, I sat down. I wanted to go out so badly. There was nothing I could do in here. I tried to breathe for a while, looked outside the window, ate lunch, tried on different dresses, brushed my hair, tried to breathe again, ate dinner, wandered around the room, thought about Lucian for a while, and now I was sitting on the bed sighing now, and then, well, doing nothing. What a day. Totally wasted. I fell back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. What if Lucian was spending time with Clara while I was bored to death in here? Why could he never spend the day with me? Lucian, where are you? I whispered for some odd reason. Did you miss me, wife? Startled, I sat up on the bed. Lucian was standing next to the bed, a smirk on his face. How did you come in? I asked. Through the door, he said, with an expression that said, where else? I didn't hear you come in. That's because you were thinking about me. I tried not to blush. That's because you were gone the whole day and I was locked in here, I said. Not because you miss me, he added. I could see he was enjoying this fine with me if he wanted to play. Did you miss me? I asked. His expression became serious as he walked to my side of the bed. Then he offered me his hand, as if my body controlled itself. I grabbed it and he helped me up and pulled me closer, gazing into my eyes. I did the same thing, unable to look away. His eyes were hypnotizing. I miss you even when you are this close, he said, pulling me even closer. I could hear the sincerity in his voice, but there was a sadness there too. So now, answer my question. Did you miss me or not? He asked. So he wasn't giving up. I don't know, I said teasingly. I need to think. He smiled devilishly. Let me help you, he said as he slowly brushed the hair away from my neck. I instantly knew what he was going to do and I waited in anticipation. Then he slowly leaned and brushed his lips against my neck, sending shivers down my spine. Now he breathed against my neck. Did you miss me now? How was this helping me think? It was doing the exact opposite. When I didn't respond because I could barely breathe, he kissed my neck gently, slowly moving down to my shoulder and back out to my neck again. I bit my lip to suppress a moan and grabbed his shoulders to hold myself up as I became weak in the knees. Now, he asked once again, did you miss me or not? Yes, I breathed. I missed you. He pulled away and looked at me. I still felt dizzy from the kisses, so I clashed on to him to hold myself up, but even my arms felt numb, as if he knew he'd put his arm around my waist to help me stand on my feet. But it only brought me closer to him. His warmth, his breath, and most of all his scent. His spicy scent made me ache for more. I wanted more of his kisses. Remember, you told me you wanted me for yourself, he asked. Yes, I said as I tried to pull myself together. What if that doesn't happen? Then what? I really didn't know. I would live with a heartache for the rest of my life and probably die because of it. I pulled myself away from his hold and tried to stand steadily. Did you say yes to the marriage? I asked instead. No, but you will eventually say yes. He seemed to think for a while. I knew I was putting him in a difficult position. What man would want to die instead of having a second wife who was as beautiful as Clara? Never mind, I said, sitting down on the bed. I guess he wouldn't have given me an answer anyways, because he quietly walked to his side of the bed and lay down. I blew the candles out and went to sleep as well. Lucien woke up and tried to blink a few times to see clearly, but it was still dark. Strange. He had always been able to see clearly in darkness. He tried to move but realized he was tied to a chair. What was happening? Using his thoughts, he tried to untie his hands, but that didn't work either. Something was off. There is no need to try, a voice said that sent chills down his spine. Lucien looked around, trying to find who the voice belonged to, but he saw no one. Who are you? He hissed. Slowly, a figure appeared from the shadows. A tall man with long hair. He could tell, but he couldn't see his face. I thought you were brave. I never thought you would hide somewhere instead of fighting, he said. There was a raw power in his voice. This person was clearly dangerous. I don't know what you are talking about. Who are you? Lucien asked once again. The man brought his hand up and seemed to look at his nails. They were sharp and long, just like his, even longer. I'm talking about the crown. You know you can't avoid to kill your brothers forever, or they will kill you, he said. Lucien tried to untie his hands again. He wasn't feeling safe with this man, and how could he know all of this? Just who are? That doesn't matter, you fool. The man cut him off. No one had ever dared to call him fool, not even his own father. The man laughed. What was he laughing about? Then he stopped abruptly. In times of danger, you need to become the danger itself. Remember fear. Fear is the best way to control humans, he said. Was this man giving him advice or what and why? What do you want? Lucien said, still confused. How he got here and who this man could be. Will you give me what I want? That's nice of you. I will think about it then and tell you next time, he said, turning around and walking away. Wait, where are you going? Lucien called, but the man slowly disappeared in darkness. Chapter 33. Yawning, I rubbed my eyes as I woke up. Strangely, I slept well after such a long time. Could it be because Lucien was sleeping next to me? I looked over at Lucien and found myself admiring his beauty and wondering how someone can look as sinfully beautiful as he did. As usual, I could only admire his beauty while his hypnotizing eyes were closed. And again, my fingers itched to touch him. No, I wouldn't make the mistake of touching him again while he was asleep. I had embarrassed myself enough times. Only his hair, I would only touch his hair. I convinced myself and slowly brought my fingers to touch his hair when he frowned. Was he waking up? His frown got deeper and he mumbled something, looking disturbed. Was he having a nightmare? Lucian, I said carefully and tapped his shoulder, but he didn't wake up. Who are you? He hissed in his sleep. Lucian, Lucian, wake up, I said, shaking him slightly. His eyes shot open and he looked around confused. Lucian, how? He was panting. How what? How did I get here? He asked, sitting up. You never left. You were just having a nightmare, I said softly. He shook his head as if he didn't believe me and then looked around confused again. He really needed to wake up. I grabbed his face gently and made him look at me. Lucian, it was only a nightmare, I assured him. He considered what I said for a while, then nodded like a lost child. I let go of his face and he lay back on bed with a sigh. Do you want to tell me about your dream? No, he said. I just nodded. Don't you have anywhere to go today? I asked. He looked at me for a while. You want me to go? No, it's just that you usually leave early, I said, and in a hurry. Yes, he needed to leave and find Clara. Today he had to speak to her and solve the issue. He wouldn't hurt Hazel. He didn't want to. He felt as if they bonded lately and he didn't want to break that bond. I'll leave, he said, standing up. Hazel looked as if she was going to protest but didn't say anything. Leaving the room, he took a bath, quickly got dressed and was ready to leave when a few maids came in with breakfast. Won't you have breakfast? Asked Hazel as he was about to leave. No, he said and headed for the door when Hazel grabbed his wrist. Will you come early then tonight? I want to have dinner with you. All he had was tonight. Want and have. God, he was losing it. He took a deep breath. Yes, I will, he said, and tried to get away fast, but she still held his wrist. What happened to your wrist? She asked, looking at it. He brought his arm up to take a look. There were red marks on both his wrists as if he had been tied. Tied? He instantly stiffened. It wasn't a dream, he knew it. He had been in the dark room with a strange man. Hazel, are you sure I was here the whole night? He asked. I think so. I never heard you go out. Why? She asked, worried. Nothing, he said and tried to smile. He didn't want her to worry. I'll see you tonight, he said and left. Lincoln. Yes, Your Highness. Did I ever leave my room last night? Lucian asked. No, Your Highness, you never left. Lucian stopped in his tracks. He was sure he had met the strange man, but how without leaving the room? Is something wrong, Your Highness? No, he said and continued walking. Your Highness, have you decided about the marriage yet? I'm not going to marry Clara, Lucian said. But Your Highness, don't. He cut him off. He didn't want to hear about what would happen if he didn't marry Clara. He already knew the risks. He went to the garden where he guessed she would be training, but she was having tea with her sister instead. Good morning, he greeted her as he neared the table. Good morning, Prince Lucian, Astrid replied with a joyful smile. Clara put her cup down and smiled at him as well. May I borrow you for a while? He said, reaching his hand toward her. He could hear her heart speeding up as she took his hand. Of course. She smiled, then looked at her sister before she followed him. He led her through the garden until he found a peaceful place where he could speak to her. The king suggested I take you as my wife, he began. She looked at him with a shy smile. But I can't, he said. The smile disappeared from her face, and confusion appeared in her sapphire blue eyes. Why? She asked. My wife won't like it, he said simply. And you? I wouldn't like that either. Why? What is wrong with me? She asked. There is nothing wrong with you. You are perfectly fine, but I'm happy with my wife and I don't want to change that. I don't want you to change that either. I just want to be next to you. Unlike your wife, I can be a great support. I know how to fight and I know what strategies, and my brother is a king. He knew what she meant. Yes, she would be a great help and he needed it now, but Hazel was his priority. He wanted to make her happy. I know, but would you really be happy being a second wife? I would be happy as long as I'm your wife, she said. Lucian, I, her eyes darted around, avoiding his. I love you. His eyes widened. That came as a surprise. He knew she liked him, desired him, but loved him. He never thought she would use that word. I fell in love with you from the first time you held my hand in the battlefield instead of killing me. And I loved you even more when you gave me your sword to protect myself. And after that, I just kept falling deeper in love, she said, taking a few steps closer to him. This wasn't going the way he hoped it would. Lucian, she said, taking his hand, I'm not telling you to love me. Just have me. Half of me, a piece of me, anything, but just have something. If only Hazel had said so. He pulled his hand away. I'm sorry, but I can't, he said. Her eyes hardened. And I can't let you go, she said. This was bad, so bad, but he just turned around and walked away. My lady, Princess Clara is here to meet you. Clara was here. Why? I looked myself in the mirror. I had put on some makeup with the help of a maid, so the bruises were barely visible today. Let her come in, I said, shortly after Clara came into the room. Good afternoon, Princess Hazel. She greeted without a smile. Good afternoon, I replied in the same manner. Please have a seat, I said politely. No, thank you. I will leave soon. I just came here to tell you that you are very selfish. Excuse me? I said, both shocked and confused that she said that to me. I know you want your husband for yourself, but if he dies, you can't have him at all. It seems you don't care. You're putting him in danger for selfish reasons. All right, wait. How could she say that to me? And you? I not selfish who wants someone who is already married. I fell in love with Lucien before you even met him. I loved him despite the rumors about him. Can you say the same thing? You probably feared him and kept your distance. I didn't know what to say. She was right. I was afraid, but still, even if she loved him first, he was my husband. Besides, unlike you, I'm willing to share him with you. That's because I know he cares about you and I care about him. Would you be able to do that for him? If I was selfish, would I do that? She asked. No, I wouldn't, she said, answering her own question. I would make him leave you, then marry me. She said in a tone that told me she could do that if she wanted. Chills went down my spine and I stood there unable to reply. She walked closer and stood right in front of me. I can do anything and everything for him, can you? I can help him become a king. I can fight by his side in a war, and when he comes home, I can be the woman to comfort him. I can give myself to him, body, heart, and soul. You can't even give him your body. How does she know, and how dare she? I clenched my fists. How I just wanted to slap her. She smirked. Think about it. What is worse, to have your husband dead or share him with me? Chapter 34. I was a bad wife, a useless one. Yes, I never gave anything to Lucien, and there was nothing I could give him. How? Now, either on top of that, because of my selfishness, I could cause his death. Clara was right. I didn't even offer him my body and got angry when he went to someone else. I was indeed selfish. I didn't have the right to be angry when he never got angry with me for not sleeping with him. The only thing I have done so far is being scared or jealous. What really have I done for him? What great have I done so that I could tell him not to marry someone else because I'm good enough? I couldn't say that because I wasn't. My lady, are you alright? You look very pale, the maid who brushed my hair asked. I'm alright, I said. Should I bring dinner? Maybe you're hungry. No, I'm fine. I'll go to sleep. I was running in the middle of the night through the dark woods where I could barely see where I was going. But I didn't care. I had to run if I wanted to survive, if I wanted to see Lucien again. Kill her! I was running barefoot and my feet were bleeding and hurting, but I couldn't stop since I could hear they were close. I had to run faster or they would catch me. There she is, bring her. No, 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 please. I tried to run faster, but my feet and lungs gave in and I fell to the ground. The footsteps were very close, and shortly after, two hands grabbed my arms and dragged me on the floor. Your Majesty, I got her, a man said. Good, a woman's voice said. Love? We found her. What should we do with her? A tall man appeared from the shadows and put his arm around the woman's waist. Do whatever you want with her, he said in a voice that sent chills down my spine. Then he looked at me, his eyes burning with what looked like the flames of hellfire. Fine, kill her, the woman said as her lips twisted into an evil smile. The tall man walked toward me and crouched to my level. Grabbing my chin, he lifted my head up. I'm sorry, love, but you are not good enough, he whispered before he stood up and turned around to leave. Please, Lucian, please don't leave me. I called, but he didn't even look back. Lucian, Lucian, please don't leave. Don't leave me. Suddenly, it was a day and I was running again, petrified, but not for my life, but for someone else's. No, I screamed as I ran toward Lucian, who was sitting on his knees with his hands tied behind his back. He looked at me, his eyes were filled with hatred. A guard with a sword stood behind him, ready to execute him anytime. No, I screamed, crying and running toward him, but someone grabbed me by the arm. Let go, I screamed. Stop it, Clara said, holding me still. It is all your fault. I told you you would get him killed. As she said the word killed, the sound of a sword cutting through flesh and the smell of blood made my heart stop. No, 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 no. Lucian heard Hazel scream and ran to the chamber as fast as he could. He threw the door open and found Hazel sitting on the bed, her cheeks wet with tears and eyes wide in fear and confusion. When she caught sight of him, Lucian, she said, breathless, and ran toward him, enveloping him in a tight hug. He put his arms around her small figure and held her close while he stroked her back. She began to sob in his arms. She must have had the worst nightmare. Shh, it's all right. I'm here now, he whispered, but she only hugged him tighter. Please don't leave, she cried. I won't, he said. After holding her for a while till she calmed down, then he gathered her in his arms and carried her to bed. She still held onto him as if she was scared he would disappear into thin air. He slowly laid her down on the bed and lay next to her, still holding her in his arms. He wanted to ask her about her dream, but he wanted to give her the chance to tell him first, or maybe she didn't want to talk about it at all. What had scared her so? If there was no one reason he wanted the crown, it would be to give her a good life. He wanted to be able to give her anything she asked for. He wanted to make her smile and love her till she had enough. Otherwise, he had no desire to become a king. He actually wanted to try and live freely like a normal man in a small house with his wife and children. Wake up, kiss his wife and children good morning, then leave for work. And when he comes back tired, and dinner with his family while talking about pleasant things, then he would take his children to bed and kiss them good night. But his wife, he would do more than kissing. He would make love to her all night long. But he knew none of this would happen. He would either get killed or become a king. And when he grows old while being bushy, ruling the kingdom, his children would fight for the throne and kill each other. The thought brought great pain to his chest. He looked at Hazel. She had gone back to sleep, breathing peacefully. He listened to her breathing. It always made him calm, and slowly he fell asleep as well. I woke up in the morning, my cheek pressed against Lucian's chest. The sound of his steady heartbeat, the feeling of his arms around me making me want this moment to last forever. Slowly, the peace I felt began to fade as memories of the nightmare from last night came back. It felt like a stab in the heart, and I sat up quickly. As if Lucian was never sleeping, he sat up right after me. Is something wrong? He asked. I just shook my head and he drew me into his arms. I had to let him marry Clara. Yes, the thought of sharing him with someone else was unbearable, but the thought of losing him completely, the thought of causing his death, just like in my dream, I shuddered at the memory that would kill me. Lucian, yes? I don't mind. I don't mind you marrying Clara. Chapter 35. Lucian should feel relieved, but he didn't. He was bothered, extremely bothered. How wouldn't Hazel mind if he married Clara? Didn't she like him anymore? After she told him he didn't mind, she had left him there, confused. Something was going on with her, and he didn't know what. It made him nervous. He sighed in frustration. Is something bothering you? Lincoln asked. Any news? Lucian asked in return, ignoring his question. His youngest brother, Peter, and Nathaniel died. Peter killed Nathaniel, and then Peter got killed by Adam. Some say Adam killed them both. Pierre might be sly and cruel, but Adam was purely evil. He was the one who bullied him the most when they were younger. I think Adam is working with Pierre. Pierre must have promised him something. Lucien already knew Pierre was using Adam, and as soon as he is finished with him, he could kill him. But Adam was probably thinking that he was the one using Pierre. Lucien knew that Pierre was not the type to trust anyone, even if they were trustworthy. Besides, Pierre has the army support since he is the crown prince and many allies thanks to his many wives. Defeating him wouldn't be easy. In fact, it was almost impossible. Of course, he could just burn the whole battlefield, but then people would be terrified and turn against him. People are scared of what they don't understand, and since they already believe he is the son of the devil, they would see that as a confirmation of the rumor and try to get rid of him. He couldn't rule a kingdom where everyone was trying to get rid of him. Besides, he never tried to burn our battlefield before, so he didn't know if he was powerful enough to do that. Lucian sighed again. Maybe he should escape somewhere far with Hazel and live a normal life. He wondered if she would agree to it. Your Highness, if I may suggest something, I believe it's best if you marry Clara and take the throne as fast as possible. Many people are suffering and dying because of the war, and I fear for our families. Your brother is looking for our families to threaten us with them. Lucian cast under his breath. Pierre and his dirty tricks. If he escaped with Hazel, his men and their families would suffer. He felt conflicted. He had to do something. He had to make a decision, but first he needed to speak to Hazel. My lady, lunch is ready. Take it back. I'm not hungry, I said, laying on the bed. I'd been laying there since morning. I felt like doing nothing. It was as if my body was drained of all energy. I felt lifeless. But my lady, you look very pale. You should eat something, she insisted. I agree, Lucian's voice said from nearby. I moved my head and looked up to find him towering over me. I'm not hungry, I said. He narrowed his gaze, then frowned. You may leave, he told the maid, his eyes never leaving me. I came here to eat with you. Are you not hungry? He then asked. No. Thirsty? No. Do you want me to take you out? I would usually get excited to go out, but I didn't. No. Do you want me to leave? No. Do you want me to make love to you? Mm, nah. Start out at the question. I looked up at him. No, he asked, raising an eyebrow. For some reason, my heart stopped for a moment and I forgot to breathe when he chuckled. Don't worry, I don't want to make love to a ghost because that's what you look like right now, so you better eat something, he smirked, sitting at the table and tried to eat something but fell sick. Nothing tasted good. I could see Lucian wasn't eating much either and had a concerned look on his face. We didn't say much to each other while eating. There was some kind of uncomfortable silence between us. Suddenly, Lucian stretched his arm from across the table and put his hand on my forehead. You don't look well, he said with a slightly worried expression. I'm alright, I said. If you are alright, you wouldn't tell me to marry Clara. I still don't understand, he said, frowning. What is the chance of you winning this war if you don't marry Clara? I asked instead. I don't want to scare you, but very little, he said. Then you should marry her if you want to win. I just want you to be safe. I don't care about the crown. If you want me to be safe and if you want to be safe, you should marry Clara. I'm not saying I like it, I just think it's the right thing to do at this moment. While saying all this, I felt like bursting into tears, but I told myself that most men have several wives. It was a normal thing, and Lucian would have gotten another wife sooner or later. Anyway, so why not now if it meant saving his life? I already told Clara no, he said, and that's when my heart stopped for real. My dream was becoming true. We were in this bloodthirsty king's kingdom, in his home without weapons or any kind of protection, and Lucian had said not to his sister. My heart started to beat again, but it was beating in my ears this time. It was only a matter of time before the bloodthirsty king spilled some blood, Lucian blood. What did you say no? I asked, rising from my seat. He looked at me confused again. I thought you would be happy about that. Well, unknowns, do you want to die? I almost yelled. He stood up from his seat as well. I won't die, Hazel. Yes, you will. I got him off panic, clear in my voice. He slowly walked to my side as if approaching a scared cat. You should go back now and tell her yes, I said, pointing at the door. No, I won't, he said calmly, then grabbing my arms, he slowly pulled me in for a hug. Lucian, you should. I began trying to knock some sense into his head, but he cut me off. Shh, I won't die, I promise, he said, stroking my back in a way that calmed me down. But in this quiet room, I dreadingly waited for the door to swing open with a crashing sound and find the Rasmus standing there with his men behind him and a sword in his hand. And just as I imagined, I heard the door swing open with a crashing sound. My heart stopped and I quickly pulled myself from Lucian, hold to see death waiting at the door. Chapter 36.